Dogs, man's best friend. But what happens when your best friend uncovers a human bone right in front of you? That chilling thought was the reality for a woman by the name of Christine Ross on the night of February 2nd, 2009. I'm Ricky Fraley, and I'm joined by
Didi from the land, Ohio,
on the Dark Deeds Diary podcast. And today, we will be talking about the West Mesa Bone Collector. Situated in the U.S. state of New Mexico, the West Mesa is a plateau that lies west of the Rio Grande in Albuquerque. Its span reaches from the Pajarito Mesa in the South Valley, running north towards Bernalillo. With the city of Albuquerque expanding westward on the lower portion of the mesa, there were a number of subdivisions being developed. Decades ago, the West Mesa was just a dry, arid outpost of Albuquerque. But by the 1980s, rapid expansion began westward with significant growth in the West Mesa region. Between 1980 and the 2000s, the population grew from 40,000 to about 200,000. This resulted in the growth of the housing projects from the 90s into the early 2000s. In addition, two major highways, the I-40 and Route 66, that one from cars.
Get your kicks on Route 66.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that
one.
Yeah, that
that's
very
a long
same one.
stretch.
Yeah, that very same one. Yep. So I-40 and Route 66 actually attracted an increase in both visitors and businesses, which significantly increased the population of the West Mesa area.
Well, yeah, because it runs from to LA.
Yep. The growth in housing continued until around 2006 when prices began to decline nationally. That led to the collapse of the housing bubble in 2008. We're all aware of that.
Yeah.
The recession brought a swift halt to the housing development in the West Mesa area, as I'm sure it did in many other places in the country. Of course, many jobs were lost in New Mexico, including numerous ones in real estate. This left the area with many housing developments only in the planning stages, underscored by many excavated and vacant plots. So you're getting a sense it's like a ghost town, but one that wasn't even fully built.
Yeah, they just kind of stopped.
Yeah, exactly. Residents found themselves living in developments with sparse housing, with neighboring cleared plots remaining vacant. So
no stores, just rural areas, just gotta drive out for everything.
Yeah, exactly. It paused in time in construction.
Wow. That's really weird.
Yeah. One such section, where it was sparsely populated, was 118th Street in the southwest corner of Albuquerque. Christine Ross and her husband and dog had recently moved there. They took frequent walks through one of the sections with housing just in the planning stages, and they used the cleared land as a walking path. It was there that, in 2009, in this desert area near one of the housing developments, that a horrific discovery was made. Specifically, Christine Ross was on her regular evening walk on February 2nd, 2009, when her dog Ruka found a bone that turned out to be human.
Oh.
This is how she stumbled on the largest crime scene in Albuquerque history. There have been many suspects named, but there has never been any arrests or charges laid. The remains of 11 women, and
Ooh, stop playing.
The remains of 11 women and one unborn baby were found buried in shallow graves.
Oh my goodness.
Subsequent investigations revealed that these victims had gone missing between the years of 2001 and 2005. The West Mesa name has therefore become synonymous with the graveyard of an unknown serial killer, labeled variously as the West Mesa Bone Collector, the West Mesa Serial Killer, and the West Mesa Gravedigger.
Oh my goodness, Ricky Fraley. Ooh, oh my gosh, That's a crazy discovery to stumble upon, like while walking your dog.
Yeah, you're out walking your dog. Could you imagine?
No, because I got shit to do. You know, I got a whole day, and you come across like a bone, and then you report it like, you know, a human bone.
Yeah,
a human bone is very distinctive. Oh my God, to even be like, try to get it from your dog. Like, can you imagine trying to touch it? Like, you know, it's not cleaned off. You know, it's probably still some type of carnage on there. Oh my gosh. This one took me.
Yeah. I don't think that, I don't know what I would do if I'm out for a walk and my dog just comes back with like a femur in its mouth.
Boy in the box. I don't know if I make it, I'll go home. You know, that's that first man that stumbled upon his body and he didn't say nothing. He went home.
Yeah.
He looked in that box and went home.
Yeah. He honestly
said, not today, devil. I can't find it like this today.
Not today's sake.
Today's sake.
No, it's crazy. I don't know what I would have done.
Oh my God.
In that situation. Especially in 2009, like.
Yes.
Yeah.
Man, stop playing with me. Go on.
Yeah, so she and her husband were walking Ruka when he found a human bone. She, Christine, didn't anticipate, and I'm sure none of us could have anticipated that soon there would be many more. The scene would enlarge beyond anyone's imagination, all with Ruka's single discovery. Ruka started sniffing at something sticking out of the ground, but they didn't think much of it until closer inspection. Christine grew concerned when it looked to her while she was looking at it like a human bone. So what she did was she snapped a picture of it and...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking when you said that. Like, what would you do? I'm going to snap a picture and be like, hey,
Well, she didn't start with the police. She didn't want to...
She went on Facebook?
No, what she did was she texted it to her sister. Her sister was a nurse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Shortly after, her sister did confirm that the bone was in fact human.
Oh, yeah.
And it looked like either a femur or a rib bone. From the picture.
Call the police regardless, because ain't no cows supposed to be over here. Like, if it was, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it was a cow bone or like a giraffe bone, prehistoric giraffe bone, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just throwing them out there. I'm not trying to say a Tyrannosaurus Rex because I'm sorry, they already excavated the ground. This was a new formed housing development. Like, she was living in the sticks.
This was up by the surface.
And then this is one of those yards that they had excavated and they didn't finish it out. So they probably just, flattened it out and walked away because they couldn't leave it like stacked up. It's crazy. Yo.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Once she got confirmation from her sister that she wasn't crazy and that was, most likely a human bone, they called the police.
Of course.
They documented the find and the police confirmed that it was indeed human. And this led them to search further in order to find the rest of this person's body and possibly identify them.
But they got to map out that whole area.
Yeah. There were more than 24 detectives collaborating with authorities, medical investigators, and volunteers to comb the area. Little did they know that they were about to unearth the largest crime scene in Albuquerque history.
Wow.
The investigators, cops, and just various authorities and volunteers worked through many feet of soil, but they experienced great challenges as the earth had already been dug up, like he said, and excavated by the developers and the builders. They found many bones, some in shallow graves, some as deep as 15 feet underground. In addition, scavenging animals had done their part too to make the search very difficult.
Yeah, because Ruka was trying to get at it too. Ruka was like, dig that up. That's a good bone.
That's a good bone. Yeah. Then that's just one lady's dog. Can you imagine the coyotes? Yeah, I'm pretty sure coyotes are in New Mexico.
Yeah, they run. And wild boar.
Oh yeah, true. They do have those down
there. That's
there.
wild boar land.
Hey, good luck with that.
And they overran.
Those things are crazy.
They then got extremely overran in these last few years, but in 2000s, that's when they was running rampant even more so because they were untamed. It's not a lot of people were living out there.
Yeah. No, that's a rough Just not even from a human standpoint, but just like nature.
Yeah.
All the animals, the environment itself, that's a rough area.
It really is.
Most of the bones that were found were intact, but they were scattered in and around the construction equipment that was left there. This presented a huge puzzle, which required weeks to put them back together. In the process, it was discovered that it was not just one body, but several, and that many were buried in the same vicinity. It was more than a week before the police admitted that the bones were all human.
Oh my God.
During a month-long search, police unearthed the remains of 11 female victims and one unborn child. The victims ranged in age from 15 to 32, except for obviously the unborn child.
Man, from 15 to 32?
Yeah. Yeah, the youngest was 15, the eldest
so
was 32.
So this is a young killer. This is a young killer.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
The painstaking job of identifying the victims now followed. The victims were mostly Hispanic and were identified as follows. Jamie Barella, she was 15. Monica Candelaria, who was 22. Victoria Chavez, 26. Virginia Cloven, 24. Selania Edwards, 15. Cinnamon Elks, who was 32. Doreen Marquez, 24. Julie Nieto, 24. Veronica Romero, 28. Evelyn Salazar, 27. And Michelle Valdez, 22.
And then like you want to lay her in jail.
I do want to say,
families.
Yeah, I want to, that's a lot of people, a lot of families, a lot of pain and heartbreak there. So I do want to highlight the victims.
Yes.
Of this crime and not just talk about the crime itself.
Definitely, because that's 11 lives. And yes.
Yeah.
Did they I want more. I need to know I need closure for this one.
We'll get into it. The first victim to be identified was Victoria Ann Chavez. She was found by Ruka on February 2nd, 2009.
Oh, and that's the body that he found.
Yeah, that Ruka found.
Wow.
Her remains were in an advanced state of decomposition, and with so much time passing, it was impossible to determine her cause of death. Victoria disappeared sometime in 2004, and her mom reported her missing in 2005.
Oh my goodness.
She was 26 years old and a mother of 2. Over her short life, she had unfortunately fallen into the life as a sex worker and was a drug user. At the time of her disappearance, she had been reportedly in and out of prison, caused by her run-ins with the law for prostitution. She was, in the eyes of a killer, the perfect victim. With all the challenges that she faced, and with no one noticing for quite a while that she had gone missing.
It's unfortunate.
It's unclear what was done to investigate Victoria's disappearance at the time. The police didn't have much to go on anyways. Victoria was also the first to be identified. Her family had submitted her dental records around the time that they reported her missing, so that's how they identified her when they found the rest of her body.
Man.
As investigators continue to excavate the area, they will pull many more remains and bones from the Mesa gravesite. The medical examiner for the area had his hands full trying to determine if these bones were human. It took months to make the determination. By February 21st, so remember this started on the 2nd with Ruka. By the 21st, the remains of 2 more women were excavated from the site.
Oh my God.
On the 23rd, a full body was unearthed. This was the 8th, if you include partial remains. This was the 8th person to be found. This woman had been pregnant at the time of her murder, as the decomposed remains of an infant was found with her. It was later estimated that she was roughly 4 months pregnant when her life was taken. She was the second victim to be identified. Even though she was the 8th to be pulled out, she was the second to be identified.
Mm-hmm.
She was Gina Michelle Valdez, born August 1st, 1982. She was 22 years old and the eldest of 3 girls. She had previously had 2 children, a daughter and then a son, as a young teenager. Although she did her best to take care of her 2 children, her lifestyle choices eventually led her to associate with the wrong kind of people, where she became involved in sex work and habitual drug use. Her lifestyle and drug use resulted in her being around periodically, but for long intervals of time, she would be absent from her family and children. Eventually, she would just not return, and in February 2005, she was reported as a missing person by her father. She would remain missing, even as her case languished for lack of investigation. Although an exact time of her disappearance was not pinned down, it appears that she disappeared roughly in the same time period as Victoria Chavez. That would be 2004. Yeah. Late 2004.
Wow.
The total number of bodies unearthed was 12. This is including the baby.
The baby, yeah.
Yeah. They were mainly found in the same area of about 10 by 30 yards. So 30 feet by 90 feet. So that's all the same area. That's a significant.
It's a small yard. That's like one house plot.
Exactly. Yeah. They were mainly found in that same area. The implications there were hard to deny. That they were all the victims of possibly the same perpetrator.
Mm-hmm.
A minimal number of bones were scattered, but they were mostly contained in the same place, with many of the skeletons still being intact and found. This showed that most of the bodies were not drastically impacted by the construction.
Because it was the construction worker. Solved the case. There you go.
Yeah, you would think that, if you're digging up a place where a bunch of shallow graves are.
Who gonna let them be digging up over there? Like, you just gonna let some random man come in your neighborhood in the middle of the night? I know white people is nosy, and white people is moved out here. Stop playing with me. This not black people, and it's Mexican people, of course, as well. But this neighborhood, and Mexican people know what's going on in their neighborhood. And Mexican people don't
100%.
never go to sleep. Stop playing with me. I know. I used to live in a Mexican neighborhood. I used to live in Texas.
They don't ever go to sleep.
And I know there ain't nothing about nobody just about to dig up the yard. This had to happen when the construction people were outside. This was a construction worker in charge of going ahead putting that stuff. He said, I'm going to be the last one. I'm going to put them bodies in there. Oh, it's a creep.
Funny, that's crazy.
And he liked to prey on the weak. These is all weak people. Like people, well, I'm not saying they're all weak people,
unfortunate circumstances.
Unfortunate circumstances, vulnerable.
Yeah.
He's preying on vulnerable women.
Mm-hmm. They are, like I think I said in last episode, the less dead.
When we were talking about the homeless
He's
man.
An incel. I don't know.
I don't want to put it out on blaming no group of people, but this is a lot of women.
It is, yeah. As the investigation itself continued, a third victim, Cinnamon Elks, was identified. Her lifestyle before going missing paralleled that of the first 2 victims. So obviously this person or group of people, still unsolved, had a profile, a victim profile. Yeah. She grew up with her youth running along the lines of regular children, but by her teenage years, her life became troubled and she escalated into drug use.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
Low-hanging fruit.
Mm-hmm. Escalated into drug use and consequently drug abuse and sex work. She racked up 14 convictions for prostitution and solicitation. And
she was a thug.
Yeah, she had some run-ins with law enforcement. Mm. She would be arrested a dozen times for drug possession. Mm. By July of 2004, she would go missing after her final arrest. By August of 2004, a month after her arrest, her worried mother reported her missing.
Oh, she just was trying to find her way. She wasn't no thug.
Yeah,
she was just trying to find her way. And she just kept on running into the law. She was low-hanging fruit.
Yeah,
she really was. She was so young.
Life circumstances really do that to people, and it's awful.
It impacts who you meet. It impacts who you speak to you. Yeah,
100%. Yeah. So Cinnamon had a habit of calling her mother and wishing her a happy birthday whenever she wasn't, in confinement. But her mother knew that she was free. She wasn't locked up. But she hadn't called her for her birthday, and that's what got her mom worried.
Yeah.
Nothing was done as the police informed Diana Wilhelm, which is Cinnamon's mother, that she was an adult and had every right to go missing if she wanted to. I mean, it's true, but like, you have to listen to people.
Yeah. You know people's habits.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't until December of that year, so months later, that the police report was finally filed. And by that time, so much time had passed that it was a challenge to find anything on the trail that had gone cold months ago.
Yeah, for sure.
Most of the family...
Oh, and also, even if it was the construction workers and stuff, shoot.
They're gone now.
They're gone now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those people, they don't know who they have working for them.
No. I mean, anybody could be doing anything for real, and especially in a job like that.
Yeah, a lot of times they pick them up at Dunkin' Donuts in a group of 40.
Yeah. Nah, people come and go, and yeah.
Yeah, the trail is like really cold for when she went missing. Like,
yeah, police just didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that needs to be changed.
Yeah, they need to take it serious. They need to have a database where if they don't know, you got to come in. Hey, turn your name in. Your name. Oh, I turned your name in. Check into it. You know what I'm saying? Like a check-in database on these people. Like, stop waiting till they've been gone or making all these. I know how my daughter is. I know my daughter called me every day. Every morning we talk. We sit here and talk and kiki, and then we go. You know what I'm saying? She told me she was going. I know she's supposed to be here. It was 3 days later. I'm telling you now, it's been that time. Yeah,
like she isn't like you. We need to do something.
Yeah, immediately. We need to have a database immediately where we start looking for people. Like we have an Amber Alert for children. We also need to have one for adults where if things don't look right, now granted, we know that adults will go lay up somewhere for a couple of days and that's they right or whatever. But we need to have a check-in board. You know what I'm saying? Like, a girl, you know you didn't do it to check-in board. You know what I'm saying? You didn't tell nobody, so I put your name on the board.
Yeah.
Be mad at me if you want to.
Hey, I mean, that's, be mad if you want. But
I was looking for you. I was concerned.
Somebody cares. Yeah,
I care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something that we need to change, honestly. The most that the family could do was provide the police with a copy of Cinnamon's dental records in the event that her body was ever found, which that's such a sad thing to have to do.
That's sad to do. But they need to make sure that most people are turning in. They have to. Yeah.
4 years later, unfortunately, that record was used to identify her body. It was the 12th body to be found at the dig site. At age 32, she was the oldest victim of this mystery killer.
Right. I was about to say, oh my God, how far do... No. Oh, I meant she was killed 4 years prior to that. That's sad that she was the oldest one of them. She was a 32-year-old.
Yeah, at the time of her death,
Yeah, but she had been missing for 4 years.
Yeah, she went missing in the end of 2004, around 2005.
Wow.
And they weren't discovered until 2009.
Right. Oh my God.
Yeah. After Ruka dug up that first bone.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yeah, there was four years where her family was just sitting around wondering where she was and what happened to her.
I couldn't imagine. Could you?
No, that's such a hard situation. That's so gut-wrenching.
Yeah.
Honestly. Diana Wilhelm identified her daughter and confirmed to police that her daughter was acquainted with the previously identified 2 victims. So they did all know each other at least, or know of each other.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. On the heels of the information that Wilhelm shared with the police, another victim was identified. No surprise here that she belonged to the same social circle as the first 3.
Oh man.
She was Julie Cindy Nieto. She was quite petite and led a regular life, giving birth to a son as a teenager. This normal life would go on until the age of 19, when she became dependent on drugs. Her history mirrors the lives of the other 3 victims unearthed at the West Mesa dig site. The last sighting of her was around August of 2004, shortly after which she was reported missing. Again, nothing much was done to find her at the time. Notably, Julie was also acquainted with the first 3 victims that were identified. They had all gone missing within a 6-month period between 2004 and 2005. The plot continued to thicken. It was really becoming apparent that all these ladies were connected not only by lifestyle and cause of death, but may have had the same killer in common. We were, if it wasn't obvious already, this is the work of a serial killer. Investigations into the habits, boyfriends, acquaintances, and activities of the 4 identified victims were hampered by the transience of their life, how they had lived, and the randomness of their encounters. This, coupled with the length of time that it took for police to look into their disappearances, this made their cases rather difficult to even begin to crack.
Yeah.
Add to this, the investigators were trying to make some headway into the identification of 7 other victims found at the quote-unquote pit, as they were beginning to call the burial site, so they were calling it the pit. They began looking into missing sex workers as far back as 15 years prior, so in 2009 that would have been 1994? As far back as 1994 is where they're going to try and identify these women. Veronica Romero was 28 years old when she disappeared in February of 2004, around Valentine's Day, and she was the 5th to be identified, although she was the 7th to be found. Her identity was revealed on April 2nd, 2009, so that's, 2 months? 2 months later? Because it started in February. She was an only child, but had 5 children herself. Again, her lifestyle choices were...
5 children.
Her lifestyle choices were similar to the 4 already identified victims, and her family, although hopeful, figured that she may be among them once the news of the other 4 victims broke. They still hung on to hope that she was out there somewhere, but...
Yeah. They knew she might have been there because...
Yeah.
Her group.
Yeah. Yeah, the family was familiar with this.
It sounded like he was in the same area. Excuse me.
Yeah. Serial killers tend to... There's this profiling technique or tactic that the FBI uses when they're trying to hunt for a serial killer, is where it's about proximity.
Access.
The serial killer, it's access, it's proximity. Yeah. The serial killer is usually in the area.
Yeah, he knew how to get there.
Or frequents the area.
Pull that money out his pocket, or put a little crack on his hand and keep walking. Or whatever he did. Horrible thing.
Oh, yeah. Veronica Romero was last seen in a white pickup truck, and as with the previous victims, not much was done to investigate her disappearance. Now, too much time had passed for there to be any evidence that could be used to point to her killer. On the same day that Veronica was identified, a 6th victim was named, Monica Candelaria. She was only around 21 years old when she vanished.
Oh my gosh. Another baby.
Her parents were Gabriel and Isabel, and she had one brother, Gabriel Jr. She was also a mother to a little boy named Michael. It was surmised that she had ties to one of the local gangs and that she fell into the world of prostitution and possibly drug use and abuse. The last sighting of Monica was May 11th, 2003, in the South Valley of Albuquerque, adjacent to Atrisco Drive and Central Avenue. Around 2 weeks from the date that she went missing, she was reported missing, and uncharacteristically, police did make an effort to look into her case for about 6 months. Her mother later reported that a man named Isaac had been claiming that Monica had been killed and buried in West Mesa.
What?
Many of the rumors started way back in 2003, but the authorities didn't search that vast area, the vast West Mesa, because, well, I can only assume that at that time in 2003, this was before all the housing project. It was just open Mesa desert.
Man.
So there wasn't very much headway in searching out there.
That desert. Come on now. Who gonna call him the desert?
The serial killers. The family, however, did conduct their own search, but although a jawbone was discovered, they didn't find Monica. By October of 2003, Monica's case was given over to the Cold Case Unit by the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office. It would remain that way until February of 2009, when she would be the 3rd body unearthed. And
hold up! They found Monica's jawbone before? I thought you said they found her jawbone. Where was her jawbone? Like they had found her jawbone when they was investigating in the first 6 months?
No, the family found a jawbone, but it wasn't Monica's.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know if
just leave this jawbone alone. This is a random jawbone.
Yeah, no.
Oh my
well,
goodness.
in my research, I wasn't able to tell if it was a human jawbone or not.
Wow.
They did find a jawbone, but they weren't able to find any trace of Monica.
Oh my God, that had to be the creepiest jawbone you ever found.
Oh, 100%.
Oh my
100%. But yeah, it would remain cold until February of 2009, when she would be the third body that was unearthed and the sixth to be identified. Her cause of death, however, could not be determined because of decomposition. The seventh victim that was identified was Doreen Marquez. At age 28, in December of 2004, she was reported missing. She was one of 5 children of David and Dorothy Marquez. She was born August 31st, 1976, and she had 2 daughters. She had a pretty stable life growing up and was loving and attentive to her children, Destiny and Mercedes. She started having problems when her then boyfriend was sent to jail. She wasn't able to cope with that and shortly after turned to using heroin.
Oh.
She went to jail for drug possession, but was never jailed for prostitution, although the police believed that she dabbled in it somewhat. Dental records from some work that she had done while in jail would come in handy in helping to identify her remains.
Man, that's so bad. So sad.
Now, we move on to Selania Edwards, a 15-year-old African-American girl who was the 8th victim to be identified.
Whoa.
She didn't fit the profile of the other victims racially. The others were either Latina or Caucasian.
Maybe the life, though.
Yeah. She was also much younger. She was 15. And she was not from and didn't live in Albuquerque.
What?
Yeah, so she's kind of like she's different from the rest of them.
Oh, she is the key.
She, in fact, actually lived in a foster home about 500 miles east of Albuquerque in a town called Lawton, Oklahoma. Sidebar, I hate Lawton, Oklahoma.
For real?
Yeah.
Well, that's where
that's
where Black Wall Street was.
No,
that's Oklahoma City.
Yeah. Lawton.
It was really racist there.
Yeah, they were. Lawton is where Fort Sill is.
Oh.
Yeah. Fort Sill, Oklahoma. That's where the US Army's air defense artillery, and I think probably regular artillery, field artillery, schools are at. I was there for air defense artillery. I hate Lawton. Just like I hate Augusta, Georgia. That's where the Signal Center of Excellence is. It's where I went to AIT. I hate both those places.
It don't sound fun either.
With a passion. Oh no, it's not fun.
You said with a passion.
Yeah, with a passion.
I'm never going there.
I hate both of those locations with a passion.
We not doing no shows there.
No. But yeah, so Selania Edwards was from Lawton, Oklahoma. She lived there until August 2003 when she ran away and was reported missing. She was reported missing, being classified as, quote, an endangered runaway, presumably because of her age. She was born in Harris County, Texas, so Houston, in or around. She never knew her father, and at age 5, when her mother was incarcerated, she and her 7 siblings were sent into the foster care system. From 2003 to 2009, no one had a clue of her whereabouts, except for a reported sighting in Aurora, Colorado, in May of 2004. She was staying at a motel known for housing sex workers. The theory was that she had somehow gotten involved in sex work among a group of others, including 3 other females. Police have never been able to identify this group. It was only after a sketch of her remains and a request for her dental records that she had been identified.
Man.
She was described as humorous with a fiery personality. Now, let's move on to the 9th victim. She was Virginia Cloven. Described as a bright presence and a teacher's pet, Victoria's life was not easy. In high school, one of her brothers was murdered, and shortly after, Virginia and another brother ran away from home. So, one brother was murdered, and then her and one of her other brothers ran away.
Wow, it must have been bad at home.
Yeah. She ended up living with her boyfriend, but tragically, soon after, he was hit by a car and left comatose.
Oh my goodness.
Having cut ties with most of her friends and her family, Virginia turned to drug use and sex work as her life spiraled downwards. She would occasionally make contact with home, The last time that they heard from her was in June 2004 when she happily shared that she was getting married. The next time they heard anything about her was when the authorities called to inform them that she was one of the West Mesa Bone Collector's victims.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. This is just too much.
It is. Rest in peace.
Yes,
to all of these victims.
Yeah. From God we all come, to God we all shall return.
Yeah. The next victim to be identified was 25-year-old Evelyn Salazar. Her identity was revealed in November of 2009. The 11th victim was her 15-year-old cousin, Jamie Barella.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so Evelyn Salazar.
Her and Jamie was cousins.
Yeah, we're related cousins.
Oh my goodness.
They left home.
He liked groups. He was taking them girls together.
Well, he had a type.
Yeah, definitely so.
Yeah. Evelyn and Jamie left home together in March of 2004, headed to a park near the Albuquerque International Airport. Evelyn was a mother of 2 and was said to be very caring. However, she did have a history of prostitution and was a drug user. In contrast, Jamie was a normal teenager. She had no history of drug use or sex work. She had only disappeared from home once, and that was to go stay with her father. Both had planned to return home within an hour. No one knows what happened to them.
So they left. Oh, she just consequently got caught up with her. Jamie got caught up with her cousin.
With Evelyn, yeah.
With Evelyn. Oh my gosh.
A missing persons report was filed on April 3rd, 2004. Jamie was not identified until January 2010, as she didn't fit the profile of the other victims. Like I said, she wasn't a drug user. She didn't have any run-ins with the law. She wasn't a sex worker.
But they didn't look into when they identified her cousin. Oh, they didn't identify her cousin yet.
Well, they identified Evelyn
yeah.
in November of 2009, and then
they
Jamie.
Didn't think about Jamie when they automatically think about her because they left together.
I guess not.
They left together.
They did leave together
for an hour.
But yeah, it was about two months later, November 2009.
Well, maybe they was working to identify her. Maybe. Yeah.
To January 2010.
Oh goodness gracious.
Yeah.
You know, Dana had just got kicked off and started solving all these murders around that time. Around that time, Dana was just getting warmed up and solving all these cold cases.
Mm-hmm.
You know, 2009, 2010, 2008. That's where a lot of cases were solved by DNA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, DNA technology and crime scene investigation has helped solve a lot of cold cases that wouldn't have been solved otherwise.
But the backlog was so strong because they had storage cases in California and stuff and on freezers, probably at Fort Knox, probably.
Yeah. So finally, all of the victims had been identified. It took roughly a year, but at least these unfortunate women regained their names and identities. The families had at least received some closure.
Yeah.
Now they knew where their loved ones, their daughters, their sisters, were.
Yeah.
For all that time.
Give you some peace because that's unnerving.
Oh, yeah.
And unrest.
The big question now was exactly who was responsible.
Yes.
Who could have done such an evil deed? Who could have murdered all 12 of these victims? Now, because there was no evidence, especially because so much time had passed between the crimes and the discovery, we're talking at least 4 years here.
Mm-hmm.
It was a challenge to pinpoint any specific suspects. The notion of a serial killer has certainly been in the thoughts of authorities, but there have been later theories. One of them is the probable connection with sex trafficking. In 2010, there was a reward offered for information regarding the murders.
Mm-hmm.
So far, nobody has come forward with any information, and the reward is still being offered. There have been a number of persons of interest in the West Mesa murders, but there has never been enough evidence to name any of them as true suspects. 2 of them, unfortunately, have already passed away, while the others are still alive. The persons of interest who may have played a role in the murders, or who may have information, are as follows. Lorenzo Montoya, 39. Lou Fred Reynolds, 60. Scott Kimball, 47. Robert Howard Bruce, 51, and Ron Irwin or Joseph Blea. So, I have a guess as to who it probably was. His name was one of the ones that I just read.
Oh, come on, come bring it, cause I want.
But I'm gonna hold off on saying who I think it is.
You gonna tell us about him?
Yeah.
Tell us, because I want to know the circumstances on why they feel like. Cause I'm good at this part. I'm an FBI by nature. I'm FBI.
Yeah. So let's start off with Lorenzo Montoya. Like I said, he was 39, and he was a printing company employee who resided in a trailer situated at 4000 Blake Road Northwest, which was not too far from the burial site. Mm-hmm. Montoya had solicited a 19-year-old prostitute named Sharika Hill sometime in December of 2006. She went to his house to dance for him. Before leaving to go there, she informed her boyfriend/pimp, an 18-year-old man by the name of Frederick Williams. He drove her to Montoya's trailer. He waited a short distance away, and when an hour had passed and there was no Sharika in sight, Williams went to see what was going on. He met a horrific sight.
What?
Montoya was attempting to put Sharika's lifeless body in the trunk of his car.
What?
He had bound her ankles, knees, and wrists with duct tape and electrical cords.
Oh my goodness.
A struggle broke out, and Williams shot Montoya. Montoya died.
Oh, man.
Police ruled the case self-defense, and Williams was never prosecuted.
Right.
Based upon the organized and brutal way in which the murder was carried out, police suspected that it was not Montoya's first killing.
Right.
Investigations into Montoya's background revealed a plethora of offenses and run-ins with the law related to prostitution. He was involved in different domestic violence incidents and arrested for aggravated battery in 1986. Those charges, unfortunately,
battery? Hell, he hate prostitutes. He assaulted somebody.
Yeah. Unfortunately, those charges were later dropped by the complainant. In 1994, he pled guilty to domestic violence, but the sentence was deferred. Then there was a solicitation of an undercover detective, and later an attempted sexual assault and strangulation of a sex worker who had gone with him into a nearby alley. This dude was a monster.
Yeah.
He subjected her to all manner of sexual indignities, in which, according to her, he took a lot of pleasure.
Oh my gosh.
That was in 1999. And in 2003, he was again arrested for solicitation. The next time police would have any contact with Montoya was when he was shot to death. In 2009, police would start to suspect that maybe Montoya might have had some connection to the West Mesa murders.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Among his various possessions that had been confiscated by the police was a series of sex tapes showing local sex workers.
What?
Yeah. The majority of these women were still unidentified. Montoya, however, remains one of the most likely suspects in the murders.
So they didn't see not one of our victims.
I don't know personally.
Okay, because it's a vast desert. It could be more than one serial killer around there, so I don't want to be hasty.
Oh yeah, it's a chilling number. I think the FBI said that there's probably...
Oh my God, Ricky Fraley, do you know the number of serial killers?
Active serial killers?
Wow.
I'm pretty sure the FBI said it was like 20 to 30 active serial killers running around the U.S.
Oh, crazy people everywhere.
Yeah, there's crazy people everywhere. Actually, it might be higher.
You said how many again?
I said 20 to 30. I'd have to reconfirm that.
Ooh, oh my goodness. This episode, my lips have been trembling from the beginning. Like, if you could see this, my lips is like so scared every time you talk.
Okay, yeah. So, according to Scientific American, which I'm just going to take their word for it, I haven't looked into them, there are between 25 and 50 active serial killers in the United States at any given time. So, maybe up to one per state.
Oh, so we taking them out and replacing them?
Unfortunately, yeah, that's what it seems like.
Goodness. One is created every day.
Yeah. So, on to person of interest, I guess. Number 2, Lou Fred Reynolds. He was a 60-year-old pimp.
You know what? When you first said 60, I was about to say, rule him out. It was a whole bunch of young people. Ain't no 60-year-old man about to pull no old Lou coming through here. Nah. But, oh my gosh, tell me about Lou.
He was born and grew up in Albuquerque, but later moved to live in the California Bay Area. Reynolds was a drug addict and alcoholic who was able to kick the habits after he returned to Albuquerque and enrolled in AA. He passed away on the 2nd of January 2009, and his cause of death was listed as natural causes. He had had many run-ins with the police related to prostitution and 2 arrests, one in 1998 and the other in 2001, on suspicion of promoting prostitution. So pimping.
Ain't easy.
No, it's not. He had worked for many years as a pimp through his own company called Have Mercy Escorts.
Ooh.
That goes kind
of
hard.
He was a gentle pimp.
I mean...
He said have mercy. He had mercy for his hoes. He was nice. Well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, Lou.
Yeah, for real.
Because pimping ain't good.
No, it's not. It's not good. It ain't easy, but it's not good either. He was also believed to have had some personal connection with Doreen Marquez and Victoria Chavez.
Okay.
And Victoria Reed.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I need some leads. There you go.
Yeah. Victoria Reed had disappeared, but wasn't among the victims excavated at the West Mesa. So she's somebody else who's missing, but her remains weren't found there.
Okay.
Another maybe related, but seemingly unrelated case.
I don't know, because Lou ain't about to be burying no 11 bodies now.
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, unless he had a lot of help, he didn't sound like he was big time pimping.
You'd be surprised, honestly.
He wasn't big time pimping.
Hey, I don't know. It's not like we can ask him.
He was on drugs.
He was, yeah. Well, no, he wasn't. He kicked those.
Yeah.
He kicked those habits.
Yeah, okay.
Reynolds had been making inquiries about the missing woman. Yeah, he was asking around about them.
See, he was looking for them. He was trying to put them to work. That was sincere looking for him.
I mean, he did. He is reported as saying that he wanted to help them have a good life. Up to a few months before his death, in October of 2008, he was trying to find them. According to friends and some family, he appeared to be genuinely concerned about their welfare. After his death, several pictures of the West Mesa victims were found in his home, but there was no tangible evidence to link him to the murders.
Yeah.
Reynolds was cleared as a suspect, however, and police do not believe that he is involved in the murders.
I don't either. A 60-year-old pimp got a heart. A 60-year-old pimp got too much heart. You know what I'm saying? He care about stuff. He done passed that young pimping age.
Yeah, he's beyond that.
Yeah, he's smooth. He ain't slapping.
Another person of interest is a man by the name of Scott Kimball. He was a former FBI informant and, get this, a convicted serial killer. At 41, he was sentenced to 70 years in prison in October of 2009.
Ooh.
Yeah, 7 decades behind bars.
Wow.
He had pled guilty to 4 murders in Colorado between 2003 and 2004. Investigators have been trying to link him to the murders in Albuquerque, as his frequent travels across several states may have put him in a position to have contact with the West Mesa victims. He has, of course, denied any connection to the murders. Next person of interest would be Ron Irwin. He was a photographer and a businessman from Missouri. His photography interest took him to Albuquerque regularly, especially the state fair there, the New Mexico State Fair. He claimed to be interested in taking pictures of those who have never had their photographs taken. It's not clear why the police had their eyes on him as a person of interest in the case, but in December 2010, tens of thousands of his pictures were confiscated when police saw him as a person of interest.
As they should. What you taking pictures for?
I mean, I take pictures. Not of people, really, but unless they want me to. Unless they pay me to. I'm not just walking around taking pictures of random people, though. That's kind of creepy.
Or cats.
Or cats. Cats are kind of hard to take pictures of, though. He was eventually cleared, but he claims to not know why they had focused on him in the first place. Next would be Joseph Blea, Blea.
Mm.
He earned the moniker of the mid-school rapist from his habit of breaking into the homes of girls aged 13 to 15 during the 1980s and sexually assaulting them.
What?
He was also suspected of killing a sex worker in 2015. His DNA was discovered in the victim's inner waistband. There is some evidence that is seen as a potential link to Blea as the West Mesa Bone Collector. One is a tree tag from a nursery that he frequently visited. He was a landscaper and had bought the same type of tree previously. This tag was found at the burial site 8 feet under the grave of one of the victims.
Oh.
It doesn't seem like a simple coincidence. He also had a collection of women's underwear and jewelry which did not belong to his wife or his daughter. He had collected the woman's underwear by breaking and entering people's dwellings during the late 70s and early 80s, so he was a weirdo. He pled guilty and got probation for the breaking and entering, providing he got a mental health evaluation. Yeah, he's a weirdo. He'd break into women's houses and steal their underwear and just kept them in a collection. He's
just a little freaky.
A lot freaky, you mean? While in prison, after his 2015 conviction for the sexual assaults, he confessed to a cellmate that he had used the services of the West Mesa victims.
Oh, wow.
His wife reported to the police that he used the area of the burial site as his regular garbage dump and that he frequently employed sex workers in the area. She added that he had a profound hatred for sex workers. However, he doesn't take any responsibility for the murders.
Oh, he don't take no responsibility for him, huh?
Nope. He says it's not him.
What he do?
He was a landscaper.
He was a landscaper?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Liar.
Yeah, he was a landscaper. From the beginning, the thoughts of the investigators revolved around the possibility of a serial offender. In the ensuing years, these thoughts have given way to suspicion of the involvement of a sex trafficking ring. According to a Wikipedia article, quote, an anonymous tip to authorities at APD and the FBI linked the murders to a suspect from Central America. Police have also suspected the involvement of a sex trafficking ring operating through neighboring Texas that targets prostitutes during events throughout the Southwest, Southern, and Western United States. Especially during scheduled events such as the New Mexico State Fair, in this case, to take advantage of the reliably heavier traffic. The small fragments of a human trafficking ring involved numerous population centers, including Las Vegas, El Paso, Killeen, and Denver. In any event, through all the speculation and everything that happened here, sadly, the West Mesa murders remain unsolved. Interestingly, Boneyard, which is a movie loosely based on the investigation of the murder victims, was scheduled to be released in July. I'll have to go back and look at that. Boneyard would star 50 Cent and Mel Gibson. This case remains unsolved to this day. If you have any information regarding the West Mesa murders, please call Albuquerque Crime Stoppers. They are still offering a $100,000 reward for information that leads to a conviction in this case.
That was a wild ride.
Their number is 505-843-STOP or 505-768-2450. So that's a big case. Who do you think did it? Just out of the persons of interest, because I know who I think did it, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But
I really feel like it's the landscaper.
The landscaper
whose wife had, because he was frequented. He frequented the prostitution ring. He had a hatred for prostitutes, and he had a cover. It wasn't somebody who was out there all the time. It was somebody who went home after they did this heinous crimes and had somewhere to hide the stuff. And for him being a landscaper and being able he could have came over there because, like I said earlier, a random person couldn't come in, but a landscaper could pull up and you don't know if it's working for the city or what.
That's
you just
true.
like, you know what I'm saying? He could go uncovered.
That's true. That's true. And nobody's gonna question why a landscaper is walking around with shovels and pickaxes and stuff like that.
He's hiding in plain sight. He probably did it in the middle of the daytime. And the smells, nobody's
hot out there.
Nobody's coming over there to check on the landscaper's bags or nothing. We'll see why they stink, because it always stinks, the mulch and stuff. And you know, he had that mulch. He could have just rode them right through the city on top of each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, he had the access, the availability, and the network.
Yeah, that's crazy. That is a good. He is a good fit for it.
Yeah.
I do personally believe, however, that it was Lorenzo Montoya.
You feel like that?
Yeah, I think it was the
yeah, I felt like that at the beginning.
The guy the boyfriend shot. I think it was him because, I mean, he was caught in the act of killing. Well, he had already killed her.
Yeah, but
he was caught in the act of.
But that could be circumstance though, because listen here, did they say that he had any type of paraphernalia or anything, or like anything evidence wise that tied him to all those murders? He's going to keep a trophy. He's killing 12 women. He's keeping trophies.
Well, the Williams, the boyfriend, was never prosecuted, so there was never any evidence regarding that specific instance that was dug up or anything. There was no investigation into it because it was self-defense.
Yeah. But no, I'm talking about inside his camper. He was living in that camper
he was.
that the girl pulled up in. He was living there, and that wasn't even far from there. So, I mean, he does have he has the whole motive too. And he does fit the crime, and it's around the time frame as well. Yeah. The time frame fits in perfectly as well.
And then you also have to think about when he died, although he did die a little bit after all these girls presumably stopped going missing. In December of 2006 is when he died, and the girls all went missing between 2001 and 2005.
Yeah.
So
it stopped when he stopped.
Yeah.
But when did dude go to the jail? I mean, I know it's so many questions. It's so many questions. Like, but you know, and I know, I'm gonna ask.
You're talking about the
landscaper.
He didn't go to jail until 2015.
It wasn't him. It was the guy that got killed in the beginning. Williams
I think
killed
so too.
The killer. Williams did a act of, and I'm glad you walk home, bro. Even though you was out there pimping, doing something you shouldn't be doing, get out of that shame work, get out of that. But hey, I'm glad you got off of that, because that was wrong for him to do to her.
I mean, yeah.
And you know what? Pimping is not right. But when you think about the aspect of it, women do need some type of protection. Yeah. And I can see why because people be like, women are so stupid. Why would I would be getting the money myself. I would be getting that.
Nah, because
but you know, men will play
weird.
You. Yeah.
Dudes are creepy.
And then think about the clientele. The clientele, you are dealing with a creepy base. This is not
100%, yes.
Yeah, this is not, you need a pimp in that area. And then I have no remarks for that.
Yeah, no, I believe it was him, but obviously he passed away.
It was a sick individual.
No doubt about it. He was a sick individual, but
I'm glad it stopped.
So
in that area. And it's so sad. And I feel bad for our young lady who and our dog who found him. But you know what? It's so crazy. And that goes back. God has eyes everywhere. God's eyes are all of our eyes. And what's done in the dark will be discovered because his eyes is on it. And you see how you in a vast desert.
Speaking of eyes being on it, and this is something that I'll put on the website along with the transcription for this episode in the notes, is there's pictures that you can find online of that area, like Google Maps, satellite images, Google Earth, sorry. You can see over time that area where they were dug up, just desert. And then fast forward a couple months, the next picture, there's tire tracks leading out there. And then there's spots of disturbed earth. Yeah.
So, oh my God. So it was an area of, oh my goodness.
Yeah. So the satellites caught it while he was doing it. I do believe
that this is the case that I had read at one point that I was talking about to you yesterday. Well, whenever we did when I told you the bodies be all over the desert.
Oh yeah.
I feel like this is the case. Maybe I was watching because I watched something where they unearthed a lot
Yeah.
And it's just so sad. And you know what? You're talking about how do you know where to hide it? Behind any rock.
The desert people. The desert people. Yeah.
What are the odds?
This is a big world, and there's a lot of places where no people.
That is just crazy, though. But he waited till the area was populated to dump it over there. I guess he thought that maybe he had some time. Because, I don't know, because that man that was in there, wasn't that the 60-year-old guy who had the girl tied up?
No, that was Lorenzo Montoya.
He was 52 or 41.
30,
he was 41 or
37.
Yeah. I feel like he could have been the person, but whoever that person
39.
was had to have access to be able to hide the bodies. And if he was living over there in a camper, he didn't have no other car. He was riding around in that camper. He wouldn't be able to pull up on nobody's yard in no new development. No raggedy dude in a camper. Just pull up and start burying stuff in the middle of the night or that. He wouldn't have been able to be undetected. So that's the only reason why I felt like that it was the other young man. But
it just,
no way.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
it's rough. I don't like it. I don't like any of it,
Ooh,
to be honest. But
it's difficult.
I do want to once again say rest in peace to the victims of the West Mesa, or who we have dubbed as the West Mesa Bone Collector. Those are Jamie Barella, Monica Candelaria, Victoria Chavez, Virginia Cloven, Selenia Edwards, Cinnamon Elks, Doreen Marquez, Julia Nieto, Veronica Romero, Evelyn Salazar, and Michelle Valdez, and the unnamed unborn child, who all had their lives taken from them far too soon by a monster, no matter who it was. I have my suspicions, maybe you have yours too, but I want to say rest in peace to them.
Yes, rest in peace.
So thank you for letting me ruin your day again. It's been great sharing this information with you, because knowing is half the battle, and now we know just a little bit more. Remember, there's crazy people everywhere, especially in the desert. The desert does things to you. I can say from experience, maybe not homicidal experience, but I can say from experience, the desert does stuff to you, especially if you're not from there. But I want you all to stay safe, stay alive, and stay listening to the Dark Deeds Diary podcast. We love you all. Goodbye.
Bye.
The Dark Deeds Diary podcast is produced by Azana Media Group, LLC, a Black, veteran-owned company. Thank you for listening.